I just told you about United Nations. Even the Nigerian court, appeal court, in the same year of 2022, rendered their own decision on the matter, discharging Mazi Nnamdi Kanu of all charges, and ordering his immediate release, and even went further to say there is no court in this country that should try this young man on this particular issue. Why? Because he was kidnapped. You can't go around the whole world kidnapping your dissidents and dragging them back to your country and put them in prison. So today, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu remains in prison without trial. It's called persecution before trial.
Where was he captured?
Kenya.
Kenya.
Yes.
So outside of the country, he was kidnapped, brought back into the country, tried by the very people who are guilty of offending him.
Exactly. So the appeal court understood exactly what you said.
Yeah.
That's why they say no court can try him. Because they knew you cannot commit an offense against an individual and turn around to sit in judgment seat to judge the same person. It's like a rapist trying his own victim, or persecuting his own victim.
That's exactly.
You're the one that committed the crime. So my conversation with Bruce Fine this morning, he said that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu should be in a position to prosecute Nigeria for enforced disappearance of his person and extra renditioning him back to Nigeria. Blindfolded, brought back home. That is an international crime. And Nigeria should stand on trial, not Mazi Nnamdi Kanu.
My people, make una run come here, matter. If you are doing something not serious, please come bring your ears to me. Matter don't solve for the United States of America. As they talk to you now, they say that the president of America, who they call Donald Trump, say don't open ear. Here waiting these American veterans of Igbo descent, that is avid. People where they serve for U.S. military. Igbo people where they serve for U.S. military. They say they have besieged Washington. They don't go Washington. Go where Trump did. Go tell them waiting they happen. I say, what is that? They say that because of a leader of IPOB, will be Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. They say, they leave the man immediately. And as I talk to you now, they say, Trump, don't they prepare paper when you want right on top the matter. Make una use una ears. They can't hear the full story. Make it no be like say, na me they talk am. So I beg, as you they see this video now, all you have to do is also to share it. Make other people use their eyes and ears. They see waiting me. They see as you take see matter so now, so we take the talk am. We know they can't be anything. We know they change anything. And let me know what you understand inside this message. For the comment section, may just write them down. Maybe they see them. If in case you know get data, just go borrow. After you come to me, I go give you back. Just write them for comment section. Say you know get data. Make I give you data. Wait, take watch this video. Just make sure so you watch them to the end. And they come back. Don't forget to use tap send in case you want some money. Go Nigeria. With my promo code, they go give you beta bonus when you deserve as a viewer of this video. What are you saying? Those of you who want to send money from UK, now £15 they go add on top your money. People when they Europe, they use euro. Now 15 euros now they go add on top of your money. People when they for America, now 50, now 20, no. Now even $30, now they give people waiting for America. People waiting for Canada, $30. People waiting for Dubai, 75 AED. So I beg make you rush now. Go enjoy. And they come back with more updates.
Sylvester Onyia, President of American Military Veterans of Igbo Descent, Avid. I'm here today with Rising Sons and Ambassadors for Self-Determination. We're in the state capital to bring our concerns to the American folks that Nnamdi Kanu need to be released now. A lot of people have talked about him being unjustly incarcerated for nothing. He is not the problem of Nigeria. If anything, he's the solution to solve Nigerian problems. We're asking President Tinibu, just like we asked President Buhari, that got him in the first place, to release him. They have not done anything to anybody. On this note, we are reminding the world about what happened in January 2017, when inauguration of Donald Trump was celebrated in Port Harcourt, and the Nigerian government shot down and killed over 27 young youths of Igbo descent, IPOB young stars, for doing nothing but cheering up the president of their choice. This happened and nobody have been brought to account for that. We are asking that the government of the United States under Donald Trump, present president, to look into that massacre, because it was democracy that was being celebrated, and those youths were happy, rejoicing that such a good thing happened, and the military went and killed them all like chickens. We continue to ask, what is it that you're holding Nnamdi Kanu for? And we believe, as a British citizen, the British government's hand is in it, because Nnamdi was discussing about the atrocities they're doing in Nigeria. They don't want any development in Nigeria. Everything that we are doing is what Nnamdi was preaching on, and everything he have said before have happened today, and it's still happening. The jihadis coming in to work for the British government and to be killing people, the Fulani herdsmen, the terrorists, and that's what they are, killing people, trying to displace indigenous people, trying to take their lands from them, land grabbing. We want the world to look into it, more especially the United States government. For one thing, if nothing is done, once these jihadis get hold of the southeast, the Christians that they're trying to exterminate, they will have hold of the sweet crew. And once that happens, the next thing will be to challenge the United States and even the Britain that is encouraging them to do their bad deeds.
So, Father, I've heard that a Nigerian government official, the Inspector General of the DSS, Department of State Services, has said, Nigerians, defend yourselves from the terrorists and the bandits, end quote. So, Father, as a minister of God, do you support self-defense, especially where it may lead to the killing of your assailant?
Thank you very much, sir, for the question. And if you don't mind, let me begin by thanking you and your colleagues who have been working with us tirelessly to bring to the awareness of the world the level of injustice that is going on in Nigeria. It's getting too much. And at some point, somebody somewhere has to stand up and say, enough is enough. Now, coming to your question, yes, the Director General of DSS, who in American context, we might equate to the Director of Homeland Security, is a special government official in Nigeria who is privy to top secret intelligence, actually. For him to step forward and publicly told Nigerians, arm and defend yourselves, tells me a couple of things. One, Nigeria is either becoming a failed state or is already a failed state. Why? Because he said that they don't have enough government manpower to defend you. The military, the police, the DSS, that they don't have enough power to defend their citizens. What is the primary responsibility of any government? Democratic government, to defend the lives and property of the people. So, for the director of DSS to say, we don't have what it takes to protect you Nigerians, to say, we don't have what it takes to protect you Nigerians, it means that they are incapacitated. Self-defense is a natural phenomenon. If I were to pinch you now, you will blink unconsciously in defense of yourself. So self-defense is a natural phenomenon. But in the context of the DSS, honestly, I wasn't expecting that we shall come to that level at which the common people are required to arm themselves and defend themselves. But guess what? It has happened. In other words, what it means is you're on your own. If anything happens to you, you have yourself to blame. Now, because self-defense is a natural phenomenon, I have never read about any law, moral law, Christian law, civil law, natural law that is against self-defense. None whatsoever. But you know what? Where you have a good government, you take it for granted that you are protected. And so it's not even a question of whether I support it or not, or whether it is legal or not. And then for the government to say, defend yourself. Now, we are taking self-defense to a higher level. The level of you have to do everything possible to protect your life. Your life is the most precious gift God has given you. Very, very precious. God has given us a precious life to take care of, and we should guard it judiciously. But what is happening in Nigeria is that a group of bandits, terrorists, have taken it upon themselves to be massacring people at will. They carry arms all over the place, unchecked, unhindered. And they are decimating ethnic groups in the name of herders, farmers, clash, rubbish. There is more to it. There is a hidden agenda. And that is ethnic cleansing and religious persecution. That is what has been going on. At this point in time, I will actually go the extra mile to advocate for self-defense. And people should defend themselves. And I'm asking my people, you cannot waste the life, precious life God has given you. You must defend it. Because there's no way. It has come to that. If the government tells you to defend yourself, defend yourself. That's what I will tell my people. And then I will ask our brothers and sisters in diaspora, especially here in America, who are from Igbo descent. Igbos here in America and Europe, organize yourselves, raise money, and make sure that your respective communities at home are protected. Have a very working vigilante groups, and make sure that your communities are protected. The time to pretend that everything is okay back home in Nigeria is gone and may never come back until that country disintegrates. Because honestly, a failed state, the only solution to a failed state is disintegration. To your tents, O Israel. Everybody should go and take care of themselves. From the local communities, maybe to the regional level. And guess what? This is exactly what Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has been preaching for more than 10 to 15 years. That these people are coming. These are mercenaries sponsored by the Fulani hegemony to decimate the rest of the ethnic groups in Nigeria. And the government has done little or nothing to stop them. And to our greatest embarrassment, or even being fair to them, they have now told us officially that there's not much they can do.
So, Bruce Fine, as a constitutional lawyer and the International Council for Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, and you visited Nigeria many times. Your client has served over 5 years in prison. What is Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's current situation, and how has the current state of the Nigerian Constitution and the rule of law affected Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's freedom?
Well, thank you for that wonderful question. We're really gathered here today to pay homage to Nnamdi Kanu and his unsurpassed courage that has given the Biafrans hope, which is what sustains a people and moving forward towards justice. Nnamdi Kanu was victim of a crime. The crime perpetrator was the nation of Nigeria. In 2021, he was kidnapped and tortured in Kenya. He was then returned to Nigeria, where he's been denied a trial for now over 4 years. I helped precipitate a ruling from the working group on arbitrary detention in Geneva, holding very unambiguously and calling for the immediate and unconditional of Nnamdi Kanu, because the government of Nigeria had violated 16 human rights covenants that were binding on all nations, whether they accepted them or not. The Nigerian government has flouted that decree now for almost 3 years. Nnamdi Kanu remains in isolation. Again, he's never ever been given an opportunity for a trial. There are repeated adjournments because there is no evidence. I've examined the indictments. They're really quite hollow. They don't have any specificity of what Nnamdi Kanu did that caused any kind of violence or harm. And at present, there still is no scheduled trial date. It's a continuing criminal violation by the Nigerian government. The great irony is that the real case should be Nnamdi Kanu versus the government of Nigeria, which should be in the defendant's chair. One of the things that's very astonishing is that for hundreds of years of Anglo-American jurisprudence, there's a motto: crime should not pay. The Nigerian government is trying to make their crime against Nnamdi Kanu pay, which is intolerable.
Bruce, what can be done to the government of Nigeria to help free Mazi Kanu?
Well, there are several precedents. One, during apartheid, South Africa was suspended from the United Nations General Assembly until Nelson Mandela was released. And there's nothing that prevents petitions now to the United Nations General Assembly insisting that Nigeria be suspended until they release Nnamdi Kanu. That's one possibility. Another would be if you had the president issue an executive order says there are going to be no Nigerian visas to visit the U.S. until Nnamdi Kanu is released. That would impress upon all Nigerians the penalty they're paying because the government is being so lawless and tyrannical. There are other options like having an international arms embargo on Nigeria until Nnamdi Kanu is released, having very, very high tariffs on anything sold by Nigeria until Nnamdi Kanu is released. These are financial pressures. They've been utilized in other countries in the past. It's a matter of political will, not law.
Chief Ugonna, how do the attacks on the Christian community and the continued injustice faced by Mazi Nnamdi Kanu serve as a serious warning sign for all Nigerians about the state of justice and freedom in the country?
You know, that's an excellent question, and thank you for posing that. I want to tell you a short story. I've been going to the region for 20 years, and the first 10 years that I was there, it was quite peaceful, at least in the southeast. Some of this was brewing already in the north, but in the southeast and the spaces where I was at with the Igbo, quite frankly, was fairly peaceful. And then, right around the time actually when they put Mazi Nnamdi Kanu under chain, things blew up. And more than that, I think when people in the villages and the boroughs of Southeast Nigeria look at this, they see, wow, if they can do that to somebody like Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, who is quite an individual, what could they do to me? What can they do to the individual citizens? It's just gone wrong. I'm telling you, and I've told the State Department here before, not from this current administration, but the previous one, that if in fact, if we don't do something about this, that place is going to implode, and we're going to end up with a pile of people coming over who will immigrate just to get out of the place. That's what's going to happen. I think the other thing that lines up where the people, the situations that they're living in, many of them are Christians. We've said before, 90% plus are Christian. Those who are Christian are experiencing the same kind of attack. There's a group in Southeast Nigeria called Inner Society. And they're a data crunching kind of group. And they've also got a very nice legal angle where they triangulate on everything to make sure that what they print is real. And they printed a statistic where they said just recently that for a period of 9 years, there were more than 30,000, mostly Christians, either killed or extremely violated. And even since they printed that, another 9,000 have been added to the list. So you're talking about 40,000 people. When we had our 9/11 here in the U.S., It wasn't anywhere near 40,000. Look at the reaction we had. 40,000 people being killed or violated should draw an unbelievable personal explosion. I think one of the things that people need to do, citizens, whoever is a citizen in Nigeria listening to this broadcast, need to really think this way. I used to work for a guy who said, you know what, now that we've had all this discussion, that's all wonderful, but tomorrow morning when you wake up, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? And the point is, you need to be able to answer that question. And for me, it comes down to three things. The first is you need to understand what's going on. What's going on in your village? Who are those strangers out in the bush? Who are they? What are they doing? You need to understand what's happening to you. You can't wait for somebody to tell you. Nobody's going to tell you. When DSS has already said, you know what? You better take care of yourself. You know, actually, I don't know if they really want to give us any good advice, but that's good advice. We need to take care of us. You need to get up and understand what's going on. The second thing you need to do is you need to have a plan. You need to start to think about, what am I going to do tomorrow morning? What's the plan? I need a plan. And the third thing you need to do is take it personal. Now, you might say, what's this white chief? How many white chiefs do you see with a red hat? Not too many. What's he doing? I want to tell you what I'm doing, okay? What's important to me? You know, when it comes to understanding what's going on, we are all about, I spent 20 years understanding what's going on. I mean, some people even pin the label on me, not Big A, but Big I for Igbo. They said, boy, he knows a lot about the Igbo, that guy. Because I've spent 365 days on ground. And in so doing, I learned what's really critical to the Igbo, to the ethnicity, to the ancestral Igbo. What's important to that person? Why are they the way they are? So I did that. I started to understand by working with the people around, standing here and many others, I've learned all the ins and outs of what's driving, what's the history. What did the British do? How did they fumble the ball so badly when they set this place up? How did that happen? And so I've learned about that. So I know what's going on. The second thing is I've got a plan. One thing I learned from my dad, and God rest his soul, my dad was a Marine Corps staff sergeant. And so you can imagine, as a young boy, I was on the run. My dad, he said, son, you're either going to be part of the problem or you're going to be part of the solution. And you know what? I've chosen, I think wisely, to be part of the solution. Part of the solution is critical. And you know what? You as citizens need to be part of the solution. And you need to come up with it yourself. You know what? Just like DSS, they're not going to tell us what to do. Nobody's going to tell you what to do. You need to figure it out for yourself and then do it. And then the third thing is take it personal. Now, what have I been doing? You can tell just by the way I am. I take things personal. And when I come to this place behind me, and I spend a lot of time at the State Department as well, and as a group with AVID. AVID's a great organization. AVID, with that group, we've spent a lot of time in the halls of Congress, knocking on the doors, talking with people. When we're with those people, what we're doing is we're taking them through the same three steps. United States government, you actually don't understand what's going on in Africa. Listen to us. We'll tell you what's going on. It's an ancestral place. And what happens is when they abscond with somebody who's iconic in the society. I mean, Mazi Namikano is iconic. When they put somebody like that in chains and just throw away the key, which they've done. They've thrown away the key. We should be taking that personal. And once again, if they can do what they're doing with him, they're doing with us, and that's when the 40,000 Christians that they've got on the run. There's another little bit of data you ought to know about. You know all the people And I bet there's hardly anybody in the region who hasn't been personally touched by a disappearance. You've got family, friends, fellow villagers who've been absconded with. They've been stolen. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. You know what's going on. Well, what happens is we need to tell the people in these powerful places, because they have a lot of control. I think you've heard quite a bit of wisdom about what the U.S. government can do. But for sure, the U.S. government needs to understand that if these three questions don't get answered also by the United States, understand, have a plan, and take it personal, one day it will come to our shore. One day that place will just turn into a mess. And we need to make sure that it doesn't come to our shore.
Evans, a lot has been said about what is wrong in Nigeria, especially the illegal detention of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. What are your thoughts?
Well, I can tell you that we've heard an earful about the evil and atrocities going on in Nigeria. But one thing about evil is that it's really perpetrated by a few, because there are all good people everywhere. There's good people in the north, there's good people in the south, but few bad apples that happens to galvanize the masses to commit evil against their own citizens. I'm telling you that evil may live for a while or may even live for a long time, but evil will never live forever, because every evil has an expiration date. It always does. So I'm telling you that the time of massacre of Christians in the north and south has expired. Right?
Expired.
Right.
Expired.
The genocide against the Igbos has also expired. And the incarceration of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, the Mandela of our era, the Mandela of Nigeria, his incarceration has now expired. You've heard me describe Nigeria as a dark nation. And the only thing that can overtake darkness is light. So I'm asking the Congress of the United States to be the light and enact the laws that will stop what's going on in Nigeria. Beginning with designating the nation as a country of particular concern. I'm also asking those in diaspora, like myself, to wake up and do something to help your citizens back home. We can always do something individually, but we can do much more collectively. This is a cause that I'm willing to die for. And I will continue to fight until my last breath.
Tell me about the Nigerian government. Have they adequately protected human rights and enforced their laws regarding the protection of lives and property of her Igbo and Christian citizens?
The question of human rights in Nigeria ought to go directly to a few people that I will mention.
Okay.
They will talk about that. I'm talking about the person of a young lady called Leah Sharif, that was kidnapped by Boko Haram when she was 15 years old. 15 years old, she was kidnapped. Yeah. Until this day, she remains in the custody of the terrorists.
Yes.
She cried out to her government, and they did nothing. No rescue, no help. And I want to surprise you. This young woman today is 25 years old. 25 years old, having children for terrorists, while the federal government of Nigeria ignores her cry for help and assistance.
Yes.
So you ask Leah Sharif about the fundamental human rights in Nigeria.
Yes.
And she will tell you the rest of the story. Another person that is worthy of note is another young lady by the name Deborah Samuel, a young college student in Shangari College of Education, Sokoto, Nigeria. This young woman was stoned to death in broad daylight while people stood and watched, while the government stood and watched. The army and the police, all the security apparatus They stood and watched an innocent girl mowed down in broad daylight, and her body was set ablaze. Chances are this young woman was still alive while she was in flames. Things that you cannot bear as a father, as a brother. These things are happening in this country called Nigeria. And people expect us to be proud of the country. That's why we're here to talk to lawmakers over here, those that will listen, and I'm glad that they're paying attention. They're taking note.
What do you wish that the lawmakers would do first?
First of all, back during the days of the Trump administration, Nigeria was in the list of CPC country of particular concern.
Yes.
Then the new administration came in under Joe Biden, and they were taken off. Now, both houses of Congress, the House of Senate, the House of Rep, they're coming together to put Nigeria back as a CPC country that needs to be watched.
Yep.
Country that violates fundamental human rights.
Yes.
Country that may be sanctioned.
Yep.
Until they change their ways.
So, for the folks who are hearing this for the first time, what would you hope that they could do?
What I hope that they can do is to take the message to their respective constituents, to talk to their lawmakers, their reps, their senators, their House of Representatives. Tell them what's going on.
Yeah.
Tell them what's happening to other people on the other side. So maybe at least they can lend some voice when they're in session here at Congress. That's why we come here.
Yes.
This country holds the record for beacon of democracy in the world. That's why we're here.
That's why we're here.
That's why we're here.
Yeah.
It's simple.
Yeah.
One more thing, and the legendary of human rights violation, okay, ought to be referred to a man in the person of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's continuous incarceration is the primary reason why we're here. We are here to call for his immediate and unconditional release, as already decided by United Nations back in 2022. For people that do not know Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, today he's being referred to as a secessionist. He wants to divide Nigeria. But I want to let you know one thing, how this young man started this whole thing. He did not start this whole thing by calling for Biafra or calling to be separated from the nation. He started in the year of 2012 and 2013 in London, on the streets of London, calling for one Nigeria, for unity, for the government to pay attention to the suffering of the people. The children are suffering. There's no job, unemployment everywhere. Our young people has taken up to criminality. So Mazi Nnamdi Kanu saw this and he began to preach, to talk about it. He wasn't calling about secession. He wasn't calling for Biafra. He was just a devoted citizen of the country. Well, seeing that felt a deaf ear, so he began to call for a referendum. What is a referendum? An opportunity for men and women, citizens of a particular country, to come together lawfully and decide their self-determination. Decide who to govern them, to elect government over them. It's called government by the consent of the governed. There's nothing wrong with that. And for that, this young man was arrested in 2015 and put in prison. And 2 years down the road, he was granted bail and was allowed to go home. While he was enjoying his bail, preparing to come to court, consistent with the bail conditions, he was invaded by the same government that granted him bail. A combined forces of the military, the Air Force, Navy, all of them invaded his home on a planned assassination attempt. They called it the legendary Python dance. Python should be dancing in the forest, not in a village where there were women, children, and elderlies. That's where the Nigerian military came to operate their Python dance. But at the end of the day, when the Python has finished dancing, scores of human beings were left dead. Properties were destroyed. Where is the justice? Where is the government? Where is the right of the people to be protected? And miraculously, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu escaped that very assassination attempt. And in 2021, June of 2021, they tracked him down and kidnapped him while he was on official duty in Kenya. As far as we are concerned, there is no democracy in Nigeria.
One key piece I want to mention with people and citizens is that it's the subject of fear. See, when you don't make a plan, when you don't understand what's going on, and you don't take it personal, all of that gets replaced by fear. See, what happens when fear takes over, all the bad operators around you become temporarily successful. And that's evidenced largely by the growth of IDP camps in the country. You know, the internally displaced person camps are now over 1 million. In fact, there's an organization, they publish a thing called an IDP Atlas. And in the Atlas, they quote that 1.34 million people are now in camps. And on top of that, there's another statistic that they keep where they call displaced person movement. And those are people who are about to be in IDP camps. They've been chased out of their environments, out of their homes, and there are about 3.3 million of those. So when you add all this together, it's 4 or 5 million people who either are or are about to be in an internally displaced person camp. They're like prison camps. There are pictures all over the internet. Look in the internet. Look up IDP